Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at our list for every PlayStation studio ranked. For this list, we're looking at every studio under the PlayStation family and ranking them based on their output, quality, reputation, and importance to the platform and community. Keep in mind that we are not saying one studio has bad developers or makes only bad games. If you like one of these studios, then great, keep rooting for them, keep buying their games. Also note that we are not counting any support studios like Valkyrie Entertainment or San Mateo Studio. But which PlayStation studio is your absolute favorite? Let us know down in the comments. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Number 19, Haven Studios.
We need to pull him out. Now.
All right, Desmond. We're going to try and bring you out now.
Granted, Haven Studios has yet to put out their first game, but we cannot help feeling skeptical about this one. Some outlets put so much focus on founder Jade Raymond, almost to the same degree as they would with someone like, say, Amy Hennig. But the difference between them is night and day. Whereas Hennig has decades of experience working on franchises like Legacy of Kain and Uncharted, Raymond has only served as producer on a couple of Assassin's Creed games and was a manager on other Ubisoft projects before leaving for Google Stadia, where she also got nothing out the door.
We shouldn't risk it.
What's another hour or two?
Why don't we discuss this in the conference room?
Adding to our skepticism is how Raymond describes their debut game as a, quote, social platform. You mean a live service game, yeah? And what has Haven been toiling away at for the last few years? Well, we saw it at PlayStation Showcase. It's fair games. Or as I like to call it, Payday 2 for Zoomers. Just look at it, it's Payday 2, just with a bunch of neon and tech everywhere. Number 18, Firewalk Studios. Even knowing about Sony's big push for live service, this acquisition was equally as sudden and alarming as Haven, and our concerns have proven true after Sony's middling PlayStation Showcase in May 2023. We were shown textures and assets before we were given a logo for Concord.
Contract site coming up. 15 seconds.
What has us so skeptical of the game? Is there really any reason for us to be? Well, there's plenty. The way Firewalk is talking about Concord is eerily similar to games like Anthem and No Man's Sky. Here's an excerpt from their post on PlayStation Blog. Quote, Concord is our new PvP multiplayer first-person shooter coming to PS5 and PC in 2024. Ellipses. Concord is a bringing together of peoples. It's the power of games to build connection and inspire social play. Ellipses. Every time you log on is the beginning of a new adventure, and every match is an opportunity for a new story. It's these ideals that define Concord, its unique universe of vibrant worlds, and its rich cast of colorful characters. End quote. And how many times have we heard this kind of talk before something floundered in the most unsurprising fashion? Know your history, folks. Number 17, Media Molecule. With the newer studios out of the way, we're now into the lineup of studios that have had the time to marinate and prove their worth. Sadly, Media Molecule sits at the very bottom. Sackboy's Palace once seemed like it could do no wrong, as Little Big Planet and its sequel sold gangbusters thanks to its fun platforming and robust tools for infinite user-generated content. So where did we go wrong? Well, for starters, Media Molecule wasted almost 2 console generations worth of development time as they pushed for Dreams, a sandbox game that encouraged users to make their own video games, but without the ability to export and make money off of the games. You basically gave them an engine without any reason to really make games off of it. Like, what was the point of this? Between 2020 and 2023, Media Molecule tried to maintain what little player base it had before finally admitting the plug needed to be pulled. Then you have the travesty of the security breach in Little Big Planet servers that would lead to shutdown of Little Big Planet and Little Big Planet 2's servers, effectively killing their remaining player base. At the time of this video, 3 of the 4 co-founders have left Media Molecule. We fear for the studio's future.
Number 16, Pixel Opus.
Pixel Opus was the youngling of the PlayStation family that we were desperately hoping to come and realize its full potential. Since its founding in 2014, the studio had only managed to put out 2 games, Entwined in 2014 and Concrete Genie in 2019. Neither game made a splash, and unfortunately, Sony just never saw their potential. Pixel Opus was working on a brand new PS5 game in collaboration with Sony Pictures Animation, but as we were making this video, the studio suddenly announced its closure on May 5th, 2023. Sony Interactive Entertainment stated, quote, PlayStation Studios regularly evaluates its portfolio and the status of studio projects to ensure they meet the organization's short and long-term strategic objectives. As part of a recent review process, it has been decided that Pixel Opus will close on June 2nd. End quote. Well, rest in peace, Pixel Opus. Perhaps Concrete Genie would have seen more success had Sony not broke out PlayStation 5 news on your launch day. Number 15, London Studio.
Wiggle your fingers or wave your hand to select start. And once you get that going, you go ahead and pick a game and you just get right into it.
London Studio is a weird one. Despite being super low on this list, London Studio is absolutely one of the best because of their ability to experiment and deliver awesome titles. This is the studio that did bring us several years of the Karaoke SingStar series and the recent PSVR title Blood and Truth, which, if you have a PSVR headset, whether it's the first one or the second one, you really need to get this.
Here comes the crack shot!
The problem is that their entire portfolio consists of games that require the use of some kind of Sony peripheral. So, what does a regular, traditional video game from London Studio look like? Well, we honestly don't know right now, but they are currently working on a co-op multiplayer game for PlayStation 5, which studio head Tara Saunders describes as, quote, our most ambitious project to date, end quote. Number 14, Savage Game Studios.
Compelling merge gameplay.
Savage Game Studios is a developer that most folks can either take or leave, and understandably so. Mobile gaming does not have a good reputation among most gaming enthusiasts, but that isn't to say Savage isn't important to Sony. On the contrary, it can end up being one of Sony's most important assets. Regardless of how one feels about mobile gaming, there is a lot of money to be made in that market. Just a short browse on the App Store or Google Play Store will show hundreds or even thousands of games that have garnered millions of downloads, and advertisers will pay big money to be on those apps. Not only that, but the amount of money some folks spend on mobile games is astronomical. Couple this with Sony's push for transmedia across their games, movies, and TV shows, and you can really capitalize on almost every IP you have. In other words, Savage might have a big role to play in Sony's future. Number 13, San Diego Studio. Whereas Savage is still working on fulfilling their tasks for Sony's future, San Diego Studio has practically been the platform's money printer for the past couple decades. Hey, sports games sell and have audiences that will buy every game regardless of how frequently new entries are released. But San Diego's true calling card, MLB The Show, has seen tremendous success over the last several years, and it is getting better.
Moment of truth, playing it cool, wipe out the sweat. Get in the zone, take on a throne, I'm on the blitz.
This is a team that not only understands what baseball fans expect from a game like MLB The Show, but they use every entry to celebrate baseball's extensive history as a sport. The only downside they have is that Sony has to basically share the studio with their competitors, though that doesn't seem to have affected their sales all that much. Number 12, Polyphony Digital. Let us just ignore the blunder that was Gran Turismo 7 for just a second. Just a quick second. Polyphony is still a brilliant studio despite being known for one IP. Unless there are any other Motor Tune Grand Prix fans watching this, I salute you, but I don't know how many of us there are anymore. What Polyphony does well is not just provide a solid racing game every so often, but deliver a racing game that pays respect to the culture of cars, motorsports, and the like while showcasing the visual fidelity present in every PlayStation console. They have been around for so long and done things so incredibly well that it's hard to imagine a PlayStation without Polyphony. Number 11, Housemarque.
Choice is to keep fighting.
Now we understand that Housemarque may not be on the best of terms with some folks. Returnal was, after all, almost a complete disaster in how it affected some people's consoles, causing all sorts of wild and weird problems.
Even death is no escape.
But when you look at their other games like Resogun, Super Stardust, and Matterfall, they are a necessity for PlayStation. You like combat games? You want a game where bullets are flying everywhere and you're demanded high concentration and skill to learn and master? Well, Housemarque is your studio. We just hope we don't have a repeat of Returnal's problems with their next game.
Before the cycle breaks me.
Number 10, Bend Studio. Bend Studio has been treated as the runt of the litter for the longest time, and rather unfairly so. Siphon Filter may not have been the biggest franchise on PS1 or PS2 or PSP, but they have still managed to churn out a handful of titles that can serve as comfort food for those wanting an action game.
Cover me, right behind you.
For example, Days Gone did not appeal to a ton of people, yet there is a lot to appreciate here with its mechanics, visuals, and traversal. We're just crossing our fingers that whatever they belt out next will land with more people. Number 9, Fire Sprite.
There, he's awake.
Reyes, machines attack this settlement.
Much like Savage Game Studios, Fire Sprite is looking to play a major role in the future of PlayStation. And no, this isn't entirely because of their specialty in VR gaming. While Horizon Call of the Mountain was one of the best games to play on PSVR 2, the headset sales have not been super great. Then again, the same happened with the first PSVR.
Find out why the machines are attacking.
What has us curious is Codename Red Star, the vehicular combat game that has to be a new Twisted Metal because what the hell else could it be? After the disaster that was Destruction All-Stars, it was reported that several key members from Lucid Games were poached and sent to work at Fire Sprite, with Lucid being taken off of the Red Star project. Clearly, Sony sees a ton of talent within Fire Sprite to give them this much work, and who knows what else they have in store for us.
Oh no!
Number 8, Nix's Software. With development costs growing every year, Sony has realized that not every game should be exclusive to only their console. Heck, some console owners still play games on PC. I certainly do. This is where Nix's comes to save the day.
Hey, fellas.
Ah! Spider-Man! Shoot him!
Yes, the PC port for Horizon Zero Dawn was rough at launch, but the studio seems to have stabilized it and has put out more quality PC ports with Marvel's Spider-Man and its Miles Morales spin-off. Basically, they have allowed Sony to double dip on sales long after a game's initial launch, and they are most likely going to help them continue to do so. Number 7, Team Asobi. Team Asobi is in a weird position. The closure of Japan's studio burned a lot of bridges between Sony's Japanese developers and the higher-ups. While those who left Team Asobi were essentially Japan's studio, the stragglers have kinda started from scratch. And so far they show a ton of promise. Astrobot Rescue Mission was the best game made for PlayStation VR, and Astro's Playroom remains the best game to play on PlayStation 5. As much as we would love to see more of Astro's adorable face, we also wouldn't mind seeing Asobi tap into some of that fun absurdity that made Japan Studio exceptional. Number 6, Blue Point Games.
Hey! What the hell are you doing here? I'm looking for you, mate. Uh-oh. Should I be flattered or worried? Maybe a bit of both.
Some might dismiss Blue Point Games as a remake factory, but be that as it may, they still have brought some of the best remakes to date. Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls, Uncharted the Nathan Drake Collection, all games that vastly improve upon their original works with better control schemes, visuals, and technical performance. Regardless if Sony plans to use them primarily for remaking their older games or not, they have excelled in our books, and we're curious to see what an original game from Blue Point could look like given what they've learned from these older games. That is, of course, if we ever do see an original Blue Point game. Number 5, Guerilla Games.
Are you blind? Thanks for the cover, sir.
When it comes to Guerrilla, we can talk all day about Killzone or Horizon and how fantastic those games are. However, that isn't what gets them this high up. Guerrilla is a key player in Sony's future, not because of their IP, or at least not just because of their IP, but because of their technology. Decima is gradually becoming Sony's proprietary engine, and it might affect the other 18 studios in later years. With its visual fidelity, flexibility, and technical prowess, Decima has quickly shown both devs and players how powerful it truly is, and you can see it in Until Dawn, Killzone Shadowfall, Death Stranding, and, of course, the Horizon games. Number 4, Sucker Punch Productions. Admittedly, Sucker Punch does not boast a portfolio as extensive as its colleagues. Quality over quantity, friends, that is the name of the game, and Sucker Punch goes above and beyond with every game. The funny thing about their games is they can be summed up in a way that sounds like most other games. Sly Cooper? Stealth game. Infamous? Open world action game. Ghost of Tsushima? Immersive sim. But what sets them apart is how Sucker Punch somehow improves upon conventional design. Just look at the level design of Sly 2, the UI of Ghost of Tsushima, and the combat and animations of Infamous. It's all done incredibly well. There just hasn't been a game from them that is below good.
Maybe those monster images will expose a weakness. Don't lose that camera, man. It's starting to pan out.
Number 3, Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is an interesting case. Most of us will be fond of the name because we played Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter and Uncharted. Today, it's a bit of a different story because the company has burned some corners of the PlayStation community with its intense focus on The Last of Us.
We're gonna need to run.
Keep us safe. Come on, baby. Now hold on tight.
Say what you will on that front, but Naughty Dog has been a pioneer in making games more accessible for players with disabilities. From incorporating features for the vision impaired to tools built for the physically handicapped, their work in this corner of game development has been absolutely impressive. And since The Last of Us Part 2, we've been seeing an influx in publishers and developers incorporating similar features.
Asked about a dude with a bitch scar across his face.
It's funny.
Number 2, Santa Monica Studio. Santa Monica Studio has solidified its importance to the PlayStation brand, and it is because of one man, one demigod, David Jaffe. Just kidding, but in all seriousness, God of War has been responsible for much of Sony's success. So much so that Santa Monica has only ever made God of War for the last 20 plus years, not counting its debut game Connecticut, of course. Despite it seeming like the studio was in trouble in the early 2010s, they have managed to turn the ship around with 2018's God of War and its 2022 sequel. With another chapter in Kratos' story finished, here's hoping we see something brand new from Santa Monica Studio. And we know that regardless of what they put out, millions upon millions of people are flocking to go check it out. Number 1, Insomniac Games. Insomniac is, without question, the best studio under PlayStation's umbrella. Since its founding in 1994, Insomniac has just never put out a bad game. They just don't. Even the most mediocre entries of Ratchet & Clank are still playable and fun in their own ways. But from Spyro and Ratchet to Spider-Man and Resistance, you always can expect the best in visuals, the best in animation, the best in gameplay. You get the idea. These guys are some of the best tech wizards in the business, and they are a prime example that you can still make fantastic games without enforcing crunch work. And PlayStation just wouldn't exist without Insomniac.
Susan and I found each other. Fell in love. We both wanted to forget the past. We vowed to stop fighting and start living.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.